Previously on X-Men.
Well, we mentioned this the other day, but I want to do a little bit of a follow-up on X-Men 97 and head writer departing social media over some backlash. Let's take a couple minutes to talk about the casting controversy, what's going on, and why I honestly think this might be a bit of an overreaction. Well, recently, we really got a great cast breakdown for the upcoming X-Men 97 cartoon. We did a full video breakdown on it. It's down below, and I do recommend you check it out. But it interestingly caused a bit of backlash that, personally, I wasn't expecting. Now, head writer Bo DeMeo has done a phenomenal job keeping fans in the loop on social media about what's going on with X-Men 97. I'm not the only one who's noticed Disney really hasn't been talking about it a lot, and neither has Marvel, so DeMeo has been our source for information, and he's been providing fairly regular updates on Twitter, which have been really useful to us fans. Now, in a report earlier this week, we found out that the Brazilian actor Guy Agostini will indeed lend his voice to play Roberto da Costa, aka Sunspot. Now, if you remember, the character did appear in The New Mutants, where he was played by Henry Zaga. Now, interestingly enough, Zaga is actually from Brazil, just like the character in the comics, but the casting actually solicited a lot of accusations of whitewashing, something that has happened with a lot of characters in the past, and it appears those claims have once again come to light. Now, to be fair, Sunspot in the comics is typically portrayed as a much darker-skinned Brazilian character, and apparently Guy Agostini, well, that casting hasn't set very well with some fans, many feeling like the character doesn't show off his Afro-Brazilian heritage. Now, honestly, these are very personal issues, and I won't judge anybody for having very strong feelings about the subject, but it appears some of the backlash may have went too far, and these fans actually drove DeMeo off Twitter. Now, DeMeo, in his response, actually said, "I will not indulge fans believing that they are entitled to be the arbiter of somebody else's identity and whether or not they are this or that enough. At the proper time, there'll be plenty of insights into what decisions we made and why. When Marvel gives me the go, I'll be frank and transparent. I value fans' opinions, but the sheer amount of vitriol in the last 24 hours is truly taxing and actually risks working against what you're trying to do, as it's now closed off an access point because I have to protect myself." Now, I think these exchanges got pretty intense, with some even calling him a race traitor, spiraling this situation into a really contentious discussion. Now, honestly, I'm not Brazilian or of the same heritage, so I'm not going to chime in on any of that. Like I said, you get to have your own feelings there. But I will say this, it is really unfortunate when these discussions on social media turn so, well, nasty. I have said for a long time, these issues are important, but an appropriate discussion is also important. And when things remain nasty, I do believe it will eventually encourage very talented people like Bo DeMeo to potentially work in other niches that they don't have the possibility of dealing with this kind of negativity, backlash, or even sometimes actual physical threats, which is completely inappropriate. Now, I am curious on what you guys think of Guy playing Sunspot in this series, and if you feel the same way, please keep the discussion civil down below. We want to understand what's going on here and why people feel this way. He is Brazilian, but his heritage is obviously a little different than Sunspot is typically portrayed, so I'm not sure what the middle ground is, and I would really look to you, the fans, to maybe feed that discussion and hopefully bring us to some more clarity. How all this works out and when DeMeo actually returns, we're going to have to wait and see.